There are dogs that leave their mark in the world, but few become legends. La Dentiste was not just a competitor, it was a phenomenon, a hurricane of intelligence, strength and determination. From the first moment her eyes shone in the ring, she showed the world that she was born to be big. Each fight was a fire test, every opponent a barrier to be broken, and she broke them all. With precise bites and a strategic mindset, Dentiste not only won, she dominated. Their movements were coldly calculated, their resistance, unshakable. With each confrontation, his name became synonymous with respect and fear in the four corners of the world. His journey was not just victories, but overcoming. She traveled to several countries, facing the best, seeking not only trophies, but immortality in the American Pitbull Terrier universe. And even when he found an impossible challenge, when his body gave in to the brutality of battle, his warrior soul remained firm. La Dentiste did not fall, she ascended to the level of the immortals. This is the story of an icon. The story of the Imperios Kennels champion La Dentiste. I first looked at her when she was about 14 months old. She started a little better than average, but I was always impressed with how smart she was and how she moved well in the ring. As the school progressed, she improved quickly, her mouth went from 5 to 9 or 10 and she began to develop crazy finishing features. He reached a point where she disabled the adversary very fast and then she finished him in her throat. She did it every time and she was more and more deadly. What made her so good, not only the characteristics I mentioned, but also the fact that she was intelligent. She didn't waste energy, she studied the adversario for the first few minutes, controlled him, punished him and then finished him. When I say control him, I don't mean to hold on to the ear, she loved biting her face to make her punishment. She grabbed him in the nose, around her eyes, or right in her mouth and took all the teeth from her face, hence the dentist. Once the punishment was made and she felt ready, she would move to her throat, and so it was the end of the game. She finished for this way and several other dogs during the school. She was about 20 months old when I finished school. I knew I had a special bulldog and wanted to accomplish an almost impossible feat. I wanted to do what few dogs did. Campaigning with it in 5 different countries and only against winners. I made a phone call that started everything. I called my good friend and partner, A, from A Team. He told him that he had a 19-pound female ready and for him to hook a fight for me. It turned out that at the time of the call, an international convention was being organized. Several of the best dogmen in the world were planning to attend. I told A that this was the perfect scenario for my goals, so I would start working in Hook It, but only if I was against a winner. A few days later, A called me to give me the good news. He informed me that we were hooked against Lara Kennel, said they had a fight winner of a fight and that she was very good. The dropouts were made and we were hooked. I should travel 7 hours to an international convention of 14 fights with some of the best dogmen in Europe, USA, Islands, RP, RD and SA. Both my opponent and I were in the right weight on the scale. Shuri was the judge in the middle of the ring. Cadell's with 19 pounds. Lara was released and arrived right in the dentist's chest. He let go of Lara while I was entering the ring, so she got me off guard. La Dentiste working the bite on the face and underneath. It continued for about 5 minutes. The dentist biting his face and causing great damage. It was all that adversariat did. La Dentiste from this point on began to push and punish his face a lot. The opponent was bleeding all over her face and getting very weak. La Dentiste was going towards the throat to finish. And at 18 minutes of fighting, it was all over. La Dentiste once watches in 18 minutes of combat. We got home and were ready to continue the campaign. I heard through my contacts that there was a winner of a fight, said she was very good, she had made her first very fast and very beautiful fight. She was being announced as a killer bitch. I grabbed the phone and called Orjak Kennels. We agreed with the terms and were hooked. After several problems with the camp, they finally arrived at the fight site. In the scale, they were an overweight pound hired, which at this point didn't surprise me very much. I won't waste my time talking about this useless camp, so to shorten the story, I just say that I agreed to move on with the disadvantage of 1 kilo. This was the longest fight of La Dentiste. We had to push a kilo of difference. This was very noticeable in all areas. David de Revolution was the judge in the middle of the ring. Things were well balanced. In the first 30 minutes of fighting, La Dentista did most of the work. She struggled to bite on her face. Slowly she began to enter the mouth of adversary and punish hard, but Orjak bitch was very large and the size difference charged the price. In the 40-minute fight mark, La Dentiste started to stay ahead, finding her bite and working in her throat hard, but the size difference kept the Viva and trying Orjak dog. After 50 minutes of fighting, La Dentiste was punishing her face and mouth. She was trying to get deep at her point. It was all sloped down to Orjak at that point. La Dentiste was killing, holding on his throat, and Orjak was without a chance. In an hour and 10 minutes, La Dentista finished the fight, with her time record, making a dentist twice winning combat. At this point, La Dentiste was making noise around the world and they wanted to stop me. I announced the weight once again and received the challenge of the elite game dogs Kennels. They had just imported a twice-winning bitch from the US region for this special occasion. I joined this team and agreed with the terms. The dogs were positioned and the fight started. This twice winner was tailored to prevent La Dentiste from becoming a champion. This was an incentive for me and perfect for my goals. I would like to say that the Elite Game Dogs is a very good team, with honor and character. It was a pleasure to enter this camp. Our negotiations were quiet and with much respect all the time. These guys are a real gentleman camp and have my recommendation. In the scale, both dogs were in the right weight, 19 pounds. The elite team's dog was in great shape. A white bitch with brown spots, which was built like a male dog. She won 2 fights in a short time. Revid, it was the judge in the middle of the ring. La Dentiste biting her face after the dogs were released. She was punishing hard around her eyes. The elite advancing forward, but La Dentiste had a deep blow to the face. In 15 minutes of struggle, La Dentiste had caused much damage to the face and mouth of the adversaria. Elite was weakening. In the mark of 20 minutes of fighting, La Dentiste biting his throat and was killing. The elite was catching the 20-4 minutes of fighting to save this combat dog. We were awarded the BIS in this convention, making the champion La Dentiste a dog 3 times winning combat and once BIS. By this time we had achieved what few dogs got. The campaign of champion La Dentiste was impeccable. All 3 opponents were winning dogs and we did it by traveling to other countries, besides winning a BIS. Champion La Dentiste began to feel the effort of 3 consecutive fights and being placed in 5 consecutive fighting tests. I was hooked twice before her first fight, but both times we had mutual problems and couldn't move on. 5 tests plus 3 fights with high-caliber animals charged their price. She had a broken right back kick that always came out of the place and made her bare. We still find ways to put it on a test regardless of the lesion. I made some phone calls looking for a winning dog who came from a good camp. Finally, I received the call I was waiting. After a few negotiations, I was hooked by L. Doc from C. Kennels and Dingel Kennels. I was putting 2 dogs that day. Males with 20 pounds and females with 19 pounds. The male was a Mexican and was a champion, the female was twice winning. I will leave the story of the male for another occasion, but I will say that I also won this champion. Both dogs were in the right weight, 19 pounds. The judge was Adela de EGDK. The dogs meet in the middle of the ring after the release. the Mexican dog was very smart and was working the bite in La Dentist's ear. She was keeping the champion La Dentist away from her. We took a few minutes to understand her. La Dentist bit her face and jaw, she was punishing hard inside her mouth. La Dentist started to control and punish around 10 minutes. La Dentist is in the throat pushing down, the Mexican dog tries to jump the ring, but is brought back by La Dentist. At this point La Dentist is biting a stretched bitch and working in his throat deep. The Mexican dog becomes RIP after 15 minutes. This international struggle made of champion La Dentist a dog 4 times winning combat and once BIS. This was also your shortest fight, with only 15 minutes. So far, we had done the impossible. All international conventions, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, USA, Mexico and all winning dogs, an impeccable campaign. That was it. I was looking forward to finishing her campaign. I didn't want to waste more time, but at the same time, I wanted to enter the best dog, for the 5th fight. At this point, I knew I had to travel again. I didn't want to cut the way. I wanted to finish her campaign like no other. I didn't want to take the easiest way, make the fight locally and win the title of Great Champion. That was not my goal and I wouldn't do that. I love the challenge, I love the almost impossible. If I earn a lot, get lost, I lose with honor. That was the goal from the beginning and I would not change my mind, not matter what happened. So I waited. After a few weeks, I finally received the news I was waiting for. A huge and important international convention was forming in the south. So I said to myself, that's it, that's perfect. I contacted the organizer and told him my weight. A few weeks passed, no one was accepted. I was starting to think that no one would accept my weight. So, one day, Chico contacted me. The negotiations were quick and quiet. Things are simple when you are dealing with men of honor and character. We were marked, hooked to the largest and most important convention ever organized, a world final. We were the last fight of the day and this fight was the most anticipated of the convention. Both females were in the right weight on the scale, 19 pounds. Chico using champion Ciega BIS. Ciega, a red dog in great shape. This bitch was solid, hard like a rock, lower than a dentist champion, but stronger than any dog, male or female, I've seen literally. Mr. Taraco is the judge in the middle of the ring. Both dogs meet in the middle with a high thud. Champion Ciega was in the dentist's chest and pushing forward with unbelievable strength. La Dentist trying to resist the storm and working the bite on his face. Several minutes passed until finally the dentist was free. She started working on Ciega's face harder. She goes deep into Ciega's face and causes great damage, blood coming out of Ciega's whole face. La Dentist still controlling the fight and punishing hard. But champion Ciega was very strong. Ciega continued to advance with unbelievable strength. Ciega breaks free from the bite and pushes a dentist down. She goes deep into her chest, you could hear bones crushing, Ciega's mouth was 10. She continued to work on the dentist's chest. La Dentist was trying to break free, working bites on his face and mouth, teeth were releasing and flying out the mouth of both animals. La Dentist was able to control his face, but Ciega's power and strength proved to be too much. Ciega continued working on her chest and shoulders. La Dentist without the front. The damage on Ciega's face was extreme, an eye hanging on her face, but she continued with relentless power. La Dentist was almost dead after 30 minutes of fighting. His chest was totally destroyed and broken, Ciega biting deep in the chest, going towards the dentist's heart. A scrath is done in 32 minutes, La Dentist to attack. La Dentist in the corner unable to stand, I raised her enough time, so she make eye contact. She went out falling with her chest on the carpet towards Ciega to make contact and bite. You had to be there to enjoy the meaning of gameness. Ciega returns to bite her chest after 35 minutes of fighting and I shoot her dentist almost dead. I ordered a scratch of courtesy that was granted. La Dentist in the remaining lifeless corner, I again worked on her to bring her back, and she does what no one could believe, completed a dead game scratch. La Dentist lost, but in reality I won much more. She proved not just a beast in the ring, but a true dead game bulldog. She was voted and unanimously won the GIS trophy. Of the 14 fights of the day, she received applause from the most respected dogmen in the world. What else can I ask for an animal of this caliber? I don't regret anything I did. She had an unbelievable campaign. We competed against the best in the world. We went to the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, USA, Mexico and Brazil. She started at 22 months and ended before 4 years. No dogs hurt her except Champion Ciega. We got it all in less than 2 years. An animal of this caliber did not deserve less. I know in my heart, that if she had a choice, I'm sure she would choose to leave exactly as she left, proving to the world the amazing animal she was. I would like to thank Chico. We were opponents for only 35 minutes, but we will be friends forever. He surpassed trying to help me save a dentist. He proved to be an excellent host and best friend. I would also like to mention and thank my wife Julia. Without it, nothing would be possible. She is everything to me and the true backbone of the Imperios kennels. Julia is a true cachorro woman, in every way of the word. Imperios champion kennels La Dentist 4 times winning once BIS with a GIS defeat. I will never forget you, baby. You are deeply recorded in our hearts. You taught me courage and selfishness. I will see you again someday, my baby girl.